Thanks, Karen. Okay, just a couple of emails to go through today. So then I'll go through all the pairs because I like to do that on a Monday anyway for myself. And one sort of housekeeping question on invoices, which I'll also cover. So these emails came in late on Friday. This one, whilst it says it's looking for a valid long trade, I feel that the downtrend is phase one. He's followed it up with an email saying this. He meant to say short here, and therefore that'd be horizontal resistance to support the trade. Um, just on this, I'd like to see more in the. This is just a chart with the moving averages and the RSI. I'd like to see more in terms of what you're doing to support the trade. If you believe this is cycling underneath the EMA, you need to have a horizontal line. What's the market reacting to? You also need to have your Fibonacci's, and you'll see from other people's analysis what I'm talking about. But you would normally expect this to be a phase one continuation trade, although again I think it's a couple of days old. And finally, too much colour. Get rid of all of that shit, right? Just turn your bars to white. So you're just looking at the market, and it forces you to look at what the market's actually doing. So the pound obviously has had a bit of a run down over on Friday night thanks to the US jobs data. But quite literally, you'd be looking at putting a Fibonacci on, saying here the market's out of this phase one down, the market's retraced back to its 50, and would have been looking at the trade earlier in last week rather than late last week. Getting in here to me is FOMO trading. Quite happy to get in there on the shorter time frames, such as the 4-hour cycles or even the 1-hour cycles. But on the daily time frame, that's you're far too late. And in terms of horizontals, you mentioned that you were struggling to find one. Well, there's quite a few about on the pound. 63, $1.63 being the big one that the markets around this area. And we could also suggest that these lows here, sorry, across here, there's we can see it's a minor one there, but the bigger one here is $1.63, and the market certainly failed to hold on to that. So your setup, whilst is reasonable to expect that would continue, that sentiment, it's the US dollar strength that's pushing the market around. There's a few things about your chart that you need to work on in terms of get rid of the colours and then apply the analysis that you and your reasoning behind the trade, so we can see that and apply the checklist as well. Okay, and again, I think in the daily time frame you're probably a little late in the trade, but there's opportunities in the shorter time frame on the euro, which we took on Friday afternoon, and even the Aussie we took on Friday afternoon. They both came home. Risk reward is 1 to 2, and it ended up being good trades. So when things are already overextended in the daily time frame, you're not trading out of gee, I missed out, what they call social proof at K2A, and what I call FOMO trading. You certainly should be looking at the shorter time frames. Another one that came in on Friday, just as we're wrapping up the Friday's webinar, is this one. And the yen phase one trend reversal, and just to that previous gentleman, you can see how this account's got all the analysis on there. Got a bit of a channel going on there, it's broken out. But what we're looking here is a cycle above the moving average. Not sure what that line's for, but a bit of hidden divergence, either from this low to this low. We can see that hidden divergence there. I've got RSI 14 in here. I'm not sure why is that, but you know, each to their own. So what have we got here? Higher highs, horizontal bullish price action. This one I'm not so sure about at that point. We weren't looking at that. This is confusing me why you got this one as well. But we scored 8. Fib retracement 61.8. That's all good. So let's go and have a look at this one. Swiss yen, and see what we haven't had yet is the bullish price action. Whilst you could reasonably expect it to slow down here. Obviously, Friday night was an inside bearish bar, extremely bearish, and there's no buying price action yet. Which on yours you noted, and you were looking at placing an order. I don't think that that was the case, and the markets. What were you looking at? Yeah, okay, 61.8. Okay, you were looking at it several days ago back here off this low test bar. Obviously, there was no entry in at that point, so there's still not, you're still waiting to get that price action. I think you've got another one. It was the pound yen, wasn't it? RSI now closer to exhaustion. Yep. Still got hidden divergence. But still no buying price action. Aussie yen and Aussie yen. It's come back under that major support line. There's a minor one here. You've got 2 touches on a trend line. That's good. I'm trading off the third. Need to wait for buyers to reappear. Good. Let's have a look if they have yet. I doubt it, but yeah, look, this is a swing low, which is optimal, but it's a seller bar, so not so certain. I mean, you'd be potentially having a look at that one. If there's a reasonable support line for the market to be reacting to. Now your trend line support was reasonable. These 2 touches here. Come here. It's not exactly touching the third one yet. Now it's gone through that one, so I'd say no to the trend line support at this point. It's not quite on that horizontal, as this is the horizontal I was looking at that it broke through, stopped briefly on it, was fallen through that. So to me now it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's not quite on the support, and it's not, you know, flirting with this one either. So I'd be walking away from that one, even if buying does appear. Yep, but that's yeah, and this one obviously still no buying either. That's good. So you guys got anything else you want to look at? Otherwise, I'll do the housekeeping question. Now that's the question was about the invoices. At the end of the quarter, if you've made any money above your starting balance, I withdraw the amount, and you'll see it on your statement saying profit share withdrawal. Any amount on closed trades above, so if your starting balance was 50,000, Any amount above that on closed trade, so I do a rec at 7 a.m. in the morning. So 7 a.m. Wednesday morning, or 5 p.m. New York Wednesday, which was 7 a.m. Sydney time on Wednesday last week. I do a rec and work out what the balance is. I pull that out. You'll see it in your statement from AxiTrader, or you can see it in your account if you look in the history, and whatever that balance is. You then get this invoice template. You can use this one or build your own. If you want this one, you need to put your company name in and your ABN up there. Obviously change the invoice number as you're going along, get the correct dates in. Then all you need to do is put it, what I had put into withdrawal. So if you made, say, 2% or just over 2%, you might put in, say, 1012, and it automatically says this is your cut. If you are registered for GST, leave that in. If not, you take that out, i.e. just delete. Yeah, so there's no GST, but if you do, then obviously you need to put 10% in. Yep. Put your name and postal address here, and obviously the bank details that we send, you want us to send your funds to, which must be obviously linked to your ABN. Okay, and it's that simple. And then send that to me before the 20th of the month. Okay, so that's a simple one. If you're, in terms of going up a level, if you do what I consider reasonable trading, and that's I had one account that I put up last week, and it hadn't reached 3%, but it was good trading, and for the 2 consecutive months of good trading, and so that account went up. But if you're doing sort of 3% consistently for 2 months, then at the end of the month, it's not at the end of the quarter, at the end of those 2 months, I will put your account up. Similarly, all the movements in terms of hedged and unhedged, whether you're going from demo to live, or vice versa, if you've gone down 5%, and we need to put you back onto demo, all of that happens at the first of the month. The way AxiTrader's plug-in works, we can only do it once a month, but the funds can obviously, in terms of profit share, is at the end of the quarter. Okay, so that's that one. Let's go through the pairs, and we'll start on the pound, because I've got a question here looking at the pound yen. So we'll start with the pound pairs. And pound yen. Now this is looking much better as a potential setup, in terms of it's come back to this support line and bounced off that. I like that. I love that kind of action. We're certainly in an uptrend. If you look at the weekly, we can see we're in a strong uptrend. The pound is producing some great results, and they're talking about raising interest rates sooner rather than later. You could do your Fibonacci from 2 points, either that one, and interestingly enough, the 61.8 is there. This is the first close above the 50. And that's where I would normally put mine, or you could potentially have it there for that move, or the third option in here, but quite literally the first close above the 50 is the one I like for the cyclicity, and we can see that it's come bang in on that horizontal that I drew. The trend line support, I doubt we'd get one of those. Above the moving average, you've got 50 EMA support, and momentum's down on the lower end, which is ideal for getting long rather than sort of buying when momentum's up here. And what we're obviously just waiting on is bullish price action. We've got quite a bit of selling here over the last 3 days. That's a bit of yen buying. And we just need to wait for the buying to appear, which there's obviously a game of patience with high test bar, inside high test bar on Friday. Obviously some bit more selling coming in today at this stage. So that's about waiting for that to look at going in. Is an entry on the break of the previous bar high too early? Yeah, going in here is too early. You've only, if you place your order to go in above this bar, what you're really doing is suggesting that you're only going to get 1 day of buying, even if you get triggered in. And I prefer to see that buying come in and then go with it rather than presuming that it's going to happen. Yes, I know that if it gets up there, then there's buying there, but that's only really 1 day. And is that enough? To my mind, it's not at this stage. Okay. So the pound is clearly oversold. There's no divergence. This is one cycle to the next cycle. So yes, there's what you'd probably call hidden divergence in terms of we've made a lower low, or there's reversal divergence. But I'd like to see the divergence out of this push down. Yeah. And seeing the divergence out of there, just like you're wanting to see something like this push up here. You're wanting to see the divergence across there, not from cycle to cycle. So, and trading against the US dollar, I think is very risky at the moment. It's an extremely strong currency pair. This one, pound Aussie, similar to the pound yen in the terms that it's come back to support line across here, which is great. And you could suggest the 20 EMA if that's your deal, but I prefer not really looking at it, just saying, well, we don't have EMA support on your checklist. You're above the EMAs, yeah, but there's you couldn't suggest that you've got EMA support. We've got the market sort of coming off the 50 fib, which is good, and off the as I said, that horizontal support line, or was resistance, is now support. The Aussie being long pounds, short Aussie, I think is fundamentally a reasonable concept to undertake. And so what we're waiting for is just to have a higher high, get some buying pressure coming off here. And if that's the case, then we'll certainly be looking at taking this long on a end of day trade for tomorrow. Pound Swiss, I mean, that looks similar in terms of setup, and being long pounds, I think is a good option. Not as strong in terms of fib support, and I'm not so sure about this horizontal across here. We need to probably look a bit further back in history and see what's there. That's why we look at the I'd see that more as resistance. There's a bit of a resistance level across here. Just off that one high, if we look at the monthly and see what's around, I can only go back to 1990, but I would suggest there's a pretty strong resistance zone around there based on those that area. And yeah, I'd be just a little nervous about that. Yeah. So if you had to choose between the pound Aussie and the pound Swiss, certainly the pound Aussie would be a better option. Well, that looks like we've done a cycle under the EMA. There's this support. What's that sort of range area there? Markets failed to sort of track higher on that, and you could suggest that you're getting lower highs, lower lows. I am bullish the Canadian currency as much as I am bullish the pound, so I see this as being probably range bound a bit more. But that's my view. Others might look at that and say, well, that's an ideal setup to get short. Concern on getting short around here. Yes, whilst it looks like it's in the middle of, or right at the start of phase one, your momentum indicators in the 40s, and I prefer to get short when the momentum is above 50, rather than getting short sort of in the 40s. Doesn't leave you much room for a decent risk reward. Pound yen we've covered. Pound Kiwi. Yeah, I mean, look, similar to the Aussie, pound Aussie, but I think it's just a messier concept. Certainly, that $2.10 has been a big resistance for the weekly. Yeah, I'd prefer to leave that one alone as well. Euro pound is the same as the pound Swiss, effectively. Um, Big again, there's a big support area across here. But the market's 123, so on that basis, I'd rather not try and take that. Obviously, support is one thing. The market can break through them, and when they do, it can get have some decent moves. Uh, but with those, I prefer to wait for it to come through that support line and retest it, and then get short if the opportunity presents itself, rather than gamble on market sort of breaking that support. Uh, Whilst fundamentally, being short euro, long pound, in a fundamental sense, is the better trade. Um, that support line there, to me, is quite significant, and I would be very nervous about trading in front of that. I'd want to see that broken and retested before looking at getting in. Yep. Pound Sing, the same as the pound, or very similar to the pound US. You're in the middle of phase one now, and so you're not trading that as an end of day trade. You may look at it in a shorter time frame. Okay, let's just CAD yen. Yeah, we'll get to the CAD yen when I do the yen crosses. Aussie Swiss took this trade on yesterday, on Friday. Got tipped in thanks to the spread. Markets then produced a doji bar, and sort of not really convincing. And quite right now, we're also an inside bar. So I'm not moving my stop at this stage, just being patient and waiting for that. I know I'm going to get the question, is it too late to trade it? Well, I got in by the spread, and I prefer not to be in it. I wanted to see good, strong buying, and we didn't. I'm in it now. I'm having to manage a bad trade. Well, it's not necessarily bad, but having to manage a trade that wasn't happening what I expected to happen, which is a strong buyer bar coming as the market's lifted off this support level. We had 1, 2, 3 days of buying, and was expecting that to continue, and that didn't. So, if you're looking at getting into this trade, I think it's probably better not to, because this is, we're not seeing that buying power just at this point. You might look at it if it gets one there today, but I think it's probably better off to leave it alone. When we're expecting to see the buying pressure, it's not happening. There's maybe something that we're going to get caught in the bad trade, and that's potentially what's going to happen with this one. We'll have to get out of it for a minor loss. Aussie dollar, yeah, look, you'd be mad to buy this, although it has hit this support and that low there, and is held above that. I think it's a pretty risky trade to get into this one right now. There is divergence, yes. Very strong seller bar thanks to the US unemployment numbers on Friday. We're getting some buying coming in today, but I wouldn't hold my breath to try and get it up here. That's not going to happen. This thing, as I've been saying, is going to 85 and potentially even 88, and some are calling 75. So I'll always be looking for shorting opportunities rather than trading against the trend. This one, well, again, there is potential phase 2 trade if you want. We're looking okay, probably above this bar, but you didn't get triggered in. Then you get a seller bar, lower high, lower low, not quite bearish, but a seller bar, and so you need to be waiting for that buying to come in, and that's not happening just yet. Phase 2 trading, some people may have got in here to trade that phase 2, although there was no divergence, so they shouldn't have. But phase 2 trading is tricky. But if there's a buy bar there, tomorrow you might be looking at an Aussie yen. We've covered Aussie Kiwi. Some people got into this and traded that well. I've been looking for an opportunity and I can't get one. This is going to $1.20 and I just can't get on board. And you might look at this in terms of, okay, it's come back and tested this area here. We can see lows over here, lows here, and it's bounced off that. And you could argue that, hey, let's trade that little cycle. It's come off the 50 as well, and now we're seeing that buying. There is a potential that, I'll put it this way, I wouldn't be doing 1% on the trade, but tomorrow morning you may look at it saying 110 pip stop, and go for 200 or 300 pip run. But as I said, I wouldn't be risking the house on it. Excuse me. So I'll put that in my trading list. Ones to watch. Aussie Sing, same as Aussie US. Yes, it's bouncing off support here, and there is divergence. But again, there's no real strong buying. You may have looked at it above here where we did have divergence. So I need to see that buying, and that trading against that sentiment is tricky. Not something not something I'd like to do. Euro Aussie, we discussed this one on Friday in the sense that there is the potential short trade happening, but it's literally stuck in this zone of support and resistance, and now there's an argument where you could, whilst you're looking at the new trend down, and going with the momentum to the downside, one could almost argue now that you've got a cycle above the EMA and look to take this long. Fundamentally, I'd prefer to be short this. The Europeans are in a world of pain, and yeah, I'd prefer to be long this. This is almost an inside bar. So I prefer to be short this. It's almost an inside bar with a little bit of buying. But I'd prefer to be looking at shorting opportunities. And underneath this bar there was potentially one on Friday. Obviously we didn't get that, and so now I need to see another seller bar, and if that is a seller bar, a lower, through this support line here, maybe even through the 50. If that's the case tonight, then perhaps you look at the trade. You don't want momentum to get too far, but it's above the 50 mark just. So line ball call, but yeah, we'll have to see what this bar presents it, because right now also prefer to be looking at shorts. This bar here has just put that doubt in my mind as to whether it's actually going to go short, so I need to see more selling in it. Pound Aussie we've covered. Yep. We'll go to the Euro crosses. Euro ruble, yeah, I'd love to be long that, despite the issues in Europe. Russia's even worse. But I'm not going to trade that out here, and I'm not going to trade this on the shorter time frame, because look at what your spread's going to be. Yeah, 0180, you're freaking kidding me. I can't even work that out. What's 3,930 minus 185? That's like 200 pip freaking spread. Yeah, not trading 200 pip spread on a bloody hourly chart. No, thank you. Similar to the Euro US, certainly extremely bearish sentiment. And you can see all the phase twos here. Whilst they look nice and easy to trade during, in hindsight, it's very difficult to get in and maintain a trade and get any success out of it. And you'd be mad to really try and do that. It'd be better off waiting for these swings to finish and then go with them on the with the sentiment. So there's no real divergence just yet. If unless we get a swing low here, and then your risk reward is something that you may not want to consider. Really not going anywhere, that one. No interest. You are getting lower. We have a cycle here and a cycle here. There are lower lows, lower highs. I mean, you could build an argument for the trade, I'm sure, but one, two touches trading off the third. There's a horizontal resistance. Yeah, I mean, you could argue for the trade. It's not just something I'd particularly look into, but yeah, you certainly could look at it, potentially taking that one if you want to trade in that pair. And that one, middle of the range, right on the 50. Good fucking luck trading that. This one's come under the support line. Again, it's not something that I'd really be interested in trading. I prefer to be sticking with things that are trending and running. Same, as the Turkish lira is just really going nowhere. Higher highs now, getting lower lows. Pretty choppy old stuff. Range bound. Yeah, tried trading a range. I'm not very good at it, but you could be looking at that as a range trade. The momentum's with you. There's divergence from the two touches. You could even suggest that you've got an extension level of sorts, 1.2, and you had the buying here, which would have got you into the trade. Euro Kiwi. I'll have a look at that when we get the Euro Kiwi. It's a bit like the Euro Aussie. Probably want to be short it, but with this bar here, and obviously now with today's bar, I'd be very nervous about doing that. Do I want to buy it? I don't want to be long Euro dollars. I just can't bring myself to doing that. Euro yen. Yeah, that's, I can't really see a potential entry there. No, I can't see which way it's going. Look at all your moving averages. They don't know which way they're going either. Euro pound recovered. Euro Swiss. We all know about this one with the floor. Starting to move now. Not like great distances. I mean, it's not huge, but this one you'd much prefer to be buying this and selling it. A little overdone at this stage. I mean, if you look at it like this, you could say, well, it's a bit of a range, really. It's 100 pip range. Euro CAD, slowly deteriorating. Bullish CAD, bearish Euro, all good. How are you going to trade this one? You're not at this stage. There's a bit of support there that we can see. Certainly an area here, $1.40 to $1.44 as a bit of a support. I'd like to get short this, but prefer to do it, from the higher point than from this low with this support 3 times. It's tried to get through it, and it's has gone through it. So, as I said, I prefer to be trading from a position of strength and weakness. We took a trade here, got out of break even, and yeah, I'm just not seeing an opportunity on that right now. Euro Aussie, the question was inverse head and shoulder pattern. Certainly could be, absolutely. In terms of, here's your left shoulder, yeah. There's your head, and here's your right shoulder forming. So the neckline is coming across here. I mean, you could even suggest neckline's horizontal, but that's your neckline, yeah. That's your neckline there, which some people potentially go. Yeah, something like that in terms of your neckline. But with this, even though that is the case in inverse head and shoulders, because it's a reversal pattern, right? So it's reversing this downtrend that we can see there. Needs to obviously break that neckline and then retest it. I mean, some people do trade the break, and this is obviously some days away before that happens, but I prefer to trade the retest, which you do get on head and shoulder patterns, and the retest will be out here somewhere, over there somewhere in a couple of days' time. But yeah, it certainly looks like it could be setting up as a head and shoulder pattern. So that would be one to keep an eye on. And the euro dollar, as I mentioned, is you may have to trade that one from a long point of view. That's a monthly. It's broken out of that wedge. We'll be looking to get short that at any opportunity you can. It's broken underneath that support line. Another minor one across these two lows here. Get a retest of this top one, and I'll be looking to take that short. Certainly don't want to be buying against that sentiment. Right. Let's just quickly go into the others. What have we got on the others page? We've got the CAD Swiss. It's like the Euro CAD. It's similar to the Euro CAD, and 98% correlated. This one's making higher highs, unlike the Euro CAD, which has got a triple bottom. And I like to be long CAD, and I'd like to be short Euro and short Swiss. So certainly sort of running in that channel. Can't see an entry in on that just at this stage on the daily, so you might look at it getting some pretty choppy, isn't it? Very choppy on the shorter time frame, so you just need to be patient and wait for something to set up for you. Crikey, that's a mess. That's just dangerous shit, that. I'm moving right along. It's like the Euro Sing. You just can't trade that Kiwi CAD. Might try and trade that phase 2, but there's no buying just yet. And similarly, this is the Euro Kiwi upside down. Not really trading that one either. I'd rather walk away from it. So coming into the yen crosses, dollar yen had some aggressive selling here. You know, if people trading this phase 2 wouldn't have got in, and obviously we might get divergence. I mean, we've had quite a bit of divergence there, but quite literally you'd much prefer to be long this and short it, but trying to get long it is tricky, so you do it on the shorter time frames. CAD yen. The question was, looking good for phase 1 soon. Also, please have a look. 50 fib lines up nicely with the support line. Got a support line there. Well, there's one across here. You can see 1, 2, yeah, 3 highs there. And there's one there. The bigger one down here. Has had an aggressive phase 2. It certainly looks like it's finishing. And you say 50 fib. Well, lines up nicely with the support line. I'm not sure which support line you're looking at. 618 lines up nicely with the support line. But yeah, if this bar is a higher high, higher low, then there is a potential phase 1 trade going there. You know, momentum's underneath 50, which is ideal. You drew your fib from down here. Well, that's only going to make the... Oh, okay, yeah. So the 50 comes back to that support line, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we get a buying bar here, then you know you might look at that. If you don't get a buying bar, then it may come back and bounce off that support. So you know, have a look at this one tomorrow morning and see what's going. But inside buyer bar, wait for another buyer bar. If you get that buyer bar, then you've got a new phase 1 going. Yeah. Swiss yen recovered. Euro yen is the same deal. Kiwi yen. Convergence. Oh, it's just nightmare. Yeah, I can't trade that. Pound yen, we've covered. We need to see buying, which we're not getting. Aussie yen, we've covered. Mexico, new phase 1. Off the 382. Is there a support line there? Well, it's hard to identify. Didn't quite get back to this, did it? Yeah. It's certainly a nice little bounce there. There's you could have a look at that right now for today. Low test bar followed by a buy bar, higher high, higher low. Certainly something you could look at today if you wanted. NOK yen. Yeah, it's not ideal, but we're getting the cyclicity there. It's just looking bearish today, so move along. Sing yen. Don't have enough history on my page to see what that is there, but you could say that these highs here, it's come and bounced off that. This is just an inside buyer bar. It's not, compare that to the peso, where it's a higher high, higher low buyer bar. Yeah, just not as ideal. Lira, no thank you. Range, same. It's just ranging, no interest. Finally, all these dollar crosses. Go with the US dollar, man. Just want to go with the US dollar. Even gold can't hold its own. Lira, it's running, 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 running. You can't. With all these ones, you can see how strong the US dollar is. And so, you look at something like that. It's these little pullbacks that are the 4-hour cycles that you want to sort of see, get in on the 4-hour and participate in it. But you're not going to trade in the daily up here. It's just, I don't think it's worth it. Peso. The problem is trading on the shorter time frame is what the spread's going to be. One. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Tricky one. Yeah, not in love with that. Too much intervention by the PBOC. That's running. That's gold getting tanked. US dollar strength again is trading out in the middle of nowhere if you're on the daily. So look at the shorter time frames. Again, same with that one. Dollar CAD. This bloody low test bar would have knocked a lot of long trades out. US dollar strength. Where's that fib coming from? Okay, so that fib is from there. That's a reasonably strong resistance level, I would suggest. The price has failed twice through it. We've got divergence if you get some selling coming in here. And all these, this run, whilst it looks great and you can get on it, you will have pullbacks, which just gives you an opportunity to get in. Same with that one, it's just gone too far, you can't trade that. That one we've covered. Kiwi, well overdone. Maybe a phase 2 setting up. If you want to trade phase 2 against the US dollar, be my guest, but I'm not going to do it. Euro and Aussie. So guys, that's us for the day. Do apologise the guys haven't sent you the details for the login, but we've got quite a few on here now, so you must have got my email. And yeah, I'll see you Wednesday. If you guys got any other questions? No? All good? Okay. Thanks for your times, guys, and I should get this loaded up shortly, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Oh, be aware of we've got 3 central banks talking this week, so that's need to be aware of. We've got the RBA tomorrow, Japan tomorrow as well, I think, and England on Thursday. So that'll just need to be aware of that if you're trading in those currency pairs. Thanks, guys. Catch you soon.